for foundations, the sort of default setting has been that they exist forever. There have been some very important and notable exceptions, and of course probably one of the most famous current ones is Atlantic Philanthropies, which is spending out. And at various times in the past, particularly in the US, there have been suggestions that foundations should not be allowed to exist for more than a certain number of years. 40, I don't know why 40. 40 seems to be one of the favourite numbers. So, what are the arguments against spending out? Well, one quite common argument is that foundations learn. They get better at what they do. So the argument is that, well, you wouldn't decide that you would sort of cull all teenagers when they got to 13, much as you might sometimes wish to, but you wouldn't do it. Similarly, the argument is you don't, it's mad to sort of kill off foundations at the age of 13 or whatever, or 40, because they get better at what they do, they learn. Another argument is that it's a matter of intergenerational justice. So because a particular generation makes a lot of money, etc., it shouldn't spend all that money on its own generation. It should spread the benefits of that across generations. Another argument has been that, well, resources build. You would be crazy to spend, £10 now if you kept it and it became 20, 50, and so on. And a lot of the foundation, a lot of the arguments against spend out have really been based on assumptions about a particular financial markets that are generating substantial returns. Another very powerful argument, I think, against spend out is that one of the great strengths of foundations is that they can take the long view. Again, there aren't many institutions in society that have the luxury of being able to take a long view. Governments can't take a long view, they're tied to electoral cycles. Companies can't take a long view because their shareholders will be asking what's happening, and so on. Foundations can wait 20 years to get a result on something, and nothing doesn't make any difference to whether they survive or don't survive. Maybe a bit uncomfortable, but it doesn't make any difference to their survival. So the arguments for spend out. Well, there's the view that perpetual foundations become fat, lazy, and out of touch. And certainly, I suppose you could look around and see some older foundations to whom you might apply those epithets. Another argument is that, well, if you as a foundation are telling me that these problems are really so important and so urgent, then why are you waiting? Why are you drip feeding this money to them so that you can survive forever? Why not get on and, what's the point in not funding? I mean, the environment is always obviously a favourite issue here, but I think it applies to poverty too. We know that there are cycles of poverty. Why wait in order to create another generation of disadvantaged children, etc.? Why not address it now? Another argument is that because foundations live in a world in which there is always tomorrow, there's never any urgency or incentive to get it right this time.